A main feature of our course has been to develop and work on a problem of practice within our classrooms. My problem of practice was how to create a more student-centered classroom versus the more traditional teacher-centered classroom. At the very beginning of this process, I developed lots of different ideas on what this would look like. I have now come to the point where I have tested these ideas in a test lesson. Using the Stanford Design Thinking Model, first we empathized with our users. Then we defined and redefined our problem, followed by a period of brainstorm and thinking. We eventually created a prototype and now have tested this prototype. Within my test lesson, there are two main components. First and foremost, the routines and even just the setup of my classroom, and then the particulars of the lesson that I implemented. Some of the routines and classroom setup changes that I've made to accommodate for more of a student-centered classroom would be to put the students in pairs. Another aspect of this would be to have a goal or a long-term and daily objectives written on the board that students and teachers constantly reference as a work-to point for all involved. Each lesson component and even individual activities within a lesson are now also structured more as a think, pair, share. Students have more time to brainstorm and think about their ideas, share and collaborate with partners, and then share out as a large group, pulling the class together to hit the main content standards. Students also have the opportunity to work with various students in small groups, pairs, and even larger groups to develop ideas, bouncing ideas off of each other, help to make this more of a student-centered lesson. Key components of the actual lesson implemented, which was on light emission on an atomic level, included students first observing these principles through the laboratory activity, in which they worked with a few other students. Students then had the opportunity to break into 3 large groups in which they developed their ideas on the major content standards involved. Each student had a chance to be a part of their group, bounce ideas off their classmates, and become an expert on their one standard. Students were then regrouped into groups of 3 so that they could talk more on a personal level to get their ideas developed in preparation for the final assessment, which was a writing piece. After writing, students had the opportunity to get their writing peer edited as well as edited by a teacher, again allowing them multiple different perspectives to develop their work. Throughout the activity, students worked with various groups, starting with their lab group, moving into 3 large groups, into smaller groups, and then finally back to their lab partner for peer editing. Along the way, I was simply a guide. It allowed me opportunities to see individual students and talk to small groups on a need-to-know basis, allowing my lesson plans and teaching strategies to become more individualized.